Hi, Soul Family, and thank you for coming back. This is part two of a five-part series talking about the aspect game. In the first mini little video, I talked about conjunctions and how important conjunctions are when you look at a star report. Begin there. As well as the secondary one is oppositions. Why? Because they are going to show between the conjunction and oppositions your strongest soul connections. I mean, if you just played this game with those two, you're going to see at least, I would say, 75 to 80% of the big picture. Okay, so oppositions. Let me pause for a moment and share with you where we are in Julia's class. I'm referring to section 6.7 in our practitioner's training course. And here we see Julia saying opposite aspect. So when a fixed star is opposite a planet, we see here's Mother Earth, here we are being born into 3D, and here's our fixed star. And when it is exactly opposite a planet, in this case, it could look like Saturn, like the rings of Saturn, but any planet. So she's showing us what a fixed star opposition looks like. Again, we have to take it from the perspective of our incarnation on Earth with the fixed star, and then here's the planet. Okay? And you can see she made a little note that the nighttime influence of an opposition is stronger. If that's a little confusing, I'm going to pause there and just go back in conjunctions, daytime conjunctions with, let's see, a transit or an alignment to that fixed star of your conjunction. Daytime is when that's going to have a stronger influence, but the opposition is the opposite. If you have a fixed star opposite a planet in your soul journey, its influence will show up stronger at night. Okay, well, I don't want to read to you all this beautiful language because you can read it yourself, but I'll show you as we scroll down. Look at all this amazing information that Julia gives us. I'm going to just go right here. And let me just read the first header for you though. Okay. So an oppositional aspect in your soul chart would indicate that not only do you have a strong connection to that star system, but more than likely you've had a past life or future life there. We say the same thing about our conjunctions. So let me stop sharing for a moment. So oppositions, what does that mean? What does that mean? Let me grab my handy dandy little visual aid here. Okay, let's say we've got in your chart, I happen to have an opposition to the constellation Lyra, specifically to the star called Vega. And what's opposing my constellation Lyra is my Mars. Okay, so I'm going to use this diagram. Here we go. Here's your visual. Opposition. Opposition. So over here, I've got my Mars. Okay, hello Mars. I was born with a natal Mars placement. But then over here, my fixed star, the fixed star Vega in the constellation Lyra, was absolutely opposite each other. Okay, so I just want to show you this visual. It's like kind of like this tension, tug of war, this way, no, this way. But later we'll talk about what does it mean specific to planets. But right now, an opposition to a planet means typically that this energy of that fixed star is not well integrated. Chances are, again, I'll repeat, you've likely had an incarnation there, or as Julia talks about, even possibly a future life with an opposition. And so the lesson that I like to look at whenever I see an opposition, of which I have 5 in my soul journey, it will show the lesson of you're given a chance, Ursula, to resolve some previous karmic issue. What's my issue? Well, I have absolutely 5 to really focus on and underscore. Why do I have these issues? Well, imagine what heaven is like. bliss, love, light and love, everybody. Bhakti. But without any tension or opposition, there's not necessarily any room for growth. How do I expand if I don't have someone throwing in the quote unquote issue, right? So I look at the lesson as I'm given a chance to resolve some of my previously issues from past lives. So like, okay, if I didn't learn this issue in life number 20 or 30 or even 35, 36, 37, on the other side, before I incarnated, I'm asked, would you like to come back and see if this time you can figure it out? And typically on the other side, you're so excited and bliss that you say, sure, I'll come back. So here's the key word for oppositions, which are sitting at, again, 180 degrees polar opposites. There's a choice point for integration or not. So our free will as human beings, this is what's so beautiful. I can live a totally like unconscious life, no judgment, if I choose. But if I really want to get lighter and move into higher frequencies, then I'm going to look at my oppositions with this idea of how do I integrate? So if I look at where am I not integrated, I look at the consciousness of the star system, its frequency. I think Julia called out 2 stars in particular. Don't have them. Oh, Arcturus and Andromeda. These are high vibrational systems. I mean, there's so much power around Andromeda and Arcturus, but if you happen to have an opposition to those stars, I think the message is pay more close attention. This is not going to be an easy, oh yeah, I put a Band-Aid on and it's all fixed. No, you need some real work to resolve this type of karmic balancing. Because in the end, we're all trying to live lighter and return home. Can't do it if you've got heavy baggages, right? So for me, in future readings for family, friends, and clients, I'm going to look at the oppositions as a way to find out where are the life lessons, the challenges the soul has agreed to come for personal growth and expansion. But a conscious effort is going to need to be made to teach them how to integrate those energies. Okay, and Julia reminded us today in the chat that the strongest opposing energies, the biggest drama, will typically happen within the first third or half of a person's life. Well, I think I'm not in the first third, and I think I'm a little over the half. So I can look back and look at where's the drama trauma, and then take a look at my soul journey, find my oppositions, and say, does the story match up for what I know to be true? So I want to reiterate, if I haven't said this before, that as a human being with free will, I have my own inner authority, and that's what will guide me. Does it ring true or not? And if it doesn't, set it aside. If it rings true, go deeper. Let's learn about it together. So again, oppositional energies will show up most strongly in the first third or half of a person's life. I mentioned about the nighttime strength of oppositional fixed star energy, especially with anything planetary return or transits to that fixed star. And if you're new to astrology speak, you can just skip that part, okay? So the best way to start integrating these energies, I want to show you this visual again, is how if the opposition to the fixed star could just reach over and find a way to harmonize and understand through conscious effort what's happening on the other side, you know, and this side, what's happening on this side. So instead of fighting, we just try and meet in the middle. Okay, this is where we're trying to get to harmonize the polarity. It's only polarity and duality, right? If I consciously agree to it. But when we awaken starseeds, we are learning how to dance towards the middle and just hold it more loosely. Another key point I found with Julia's class on oppositions is how our body will inform us of oppositional energies and consciousness. So how does the body feel into that polarity? In other words, I'm going to give you an example in a minute, but when I find out where the tension is in my personal chart, I go and ask my body, okay, where are you showing up? Are you showing up in those migraines that are constantly happening during certain times of year? Are you showing up in my stomach? Do I have a hard time digesting? You know, that might be the Virgo house too, by the way, is digestion. So we'll get more into the details and narrative, but just for this very basic beginning, oppositions, 180 degrees, polar opposite. The life lesson is to be aware of it, and if you choose to, try and get towards the center or the middle. Okay, let me pause for a moment, and I am going to show personal stuff. Okay, so I'm back. Here we go, and I'm going to share my screen. All right, so I want to bring it into reality. I want to show you one of my oppositions. Okay, love this box of star cards. Again, it's just fascinating to see the imagery and find the stars in the sky. So here's my little note. I have 5 oppositions in my soul journey. This is number 2 out of 5. And on the other side of the card, which I haven't fully filled out yet, is I have an opposition of Mars opposing the constellation Lyra. Here's Lyra, the lyre, and specifically to a star called Vega. Vega is right here on the lyre. Okay, this is a musical instrument. Some may see a harp, but here it is. Here's Vega, the brightest star within that constellation. And the orb of how close of an opposition is the planet Mars to the constellation and star Vega, 50.53 minutes. That's a pretty tight opposition. Okay, I also wrote down 13 degrees Cancer, 52 minutes is where my Mars sits, and it's in the 10th house. This is how I'm going to start filling this in, and I'm going to do a little more research on, you know, the story of Lyra or the lyre. And right now you can see, oh, if I can find Cygnus, the swan, it's going to sit next to the lyre. And did you know there's like an alligator, and what's this guy? Sagitta is like a fox eating another bird. Anyway, oh, and Draco's going to be over here. So that's one of my oppositions. Let me show you a second opposition, just to, again, making this real, keeping it real. Okay, here is the constellation Draco, and it sits with Ursa Minor. Now, why is the bear upside down? Well, when we look at the sky, some of our little animals are upside down. So, okay, so here is Draco. And let me bring in my little cheat sheet here. So I have actually 2 oppositions, opposition number 4 and opposition number 3. So I have 2 cards that are saying that I have opposition. This first one, I have a Chiron, just that little glyph is for Chiron, opposing Draco. So here's the whole constellation, and it's a huge, the largest constellation in the sky, but it's specific to the fixed star Tubin. Okay, so then I had to go look, and here we go. Here's Tubin, and here's the little bear. So if I ever find the little bear in the sky, Ursa Minor, it's going to be really close to Tubin. Okay, then just while I have you here, I'll share with you a little bit of my notes. Draco, because sometimes we see that, we go, oh no, was I the reptilian or was I the evil one? To answer the question, sometimes we're the good guy and sometimes we're the bad guy. It's all about the learning without the judgment. Okay, so fear not if you have a lot of Draco showing up. For me, I have 2 oppositions to Draco, one with my Chiron and one with my Jupiter. Whew, so it tells me Jupiter is about expansion. Pay attention. Chiron is where my wound is and what I can heal through. Pay even more attention. So I have this expanded cosmic wound that obviously needs a little TLC with my awareness. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you the story as you're looking at Draco. Just want to tell you a little story. Back in the day, if you look up the mythology of this Draco, which means dragon, it's the ancient dragon. It used to be the former pole star. So before the North Star, way back, we were navigating with Tubin and the constellation Draco, so the ancient dragon. But here's the story on Draco. Going back to our mythology, Hera, the wife of Zeus, when she married that guy, the big dude, Zeus, meaning Jupiter, right? And I've got Jupiter opposite Draco. She was gifted a golden apple tree, which she then planted in Atlantis. But she placed a dragon named Ladon, or Ladon, to guard the apple tree because she didn't want anyone stealing the golden apples, right? But long time later, here comes Hercules. Well, one of his tasks is to gather up some apples. And so unfortunately, he kills Ladon the dragon. And so he was pitied, and I'm not sure which god put him up in the sky, maybe Hera, but they memorialized Ladon as Draco, this huge, the largest constellation in the sky. I am of Chinese heritage. Let me stop that for a minute. I am of Asian heritage, half German, half Chinese. And so, boy, so many of the Asian cultures, they want to have babies on the year of the dragon. And yet you come into America and they think, oh, Draco, dragon, bad guys, reptilians, so it's how you hold story. Positive, negative, desired, feared. Okay, so my journey is going to be looking at those two oppositions to Draco, in particular, the fixed star, because I want to be able to work with the energy and bring it into integration. This is the lifetime that I want to just learn the lesson and move on. Okay, it's time. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. Feel free in the Facebook chat group if you want to offer up any of your oppositions to fixed stars. And if you happen to know the story of that fixed star, feel comfortable sharing, because this is how we're all going to learn and expand together. Thank you, Soul Family. I'll come back in a little bit and I'll talk about the next aspect on the aspect game. We'll look at trines. Where are your magical gifts?